Hello friends. Today we're going to discuss about Telemedicine Practice Guidelines. As you know, the Government of India notified Telemedicine Practice Guideline in 2020. That was the first time. Now, after 3 years, the second edition of Telemedicine Practice Guideline have been notified on 2023 August 2nd. This guideline is notified under the National Medical Commission Act, under the Professional Conduct of RMPs regulation. In this video, I'll be comparing both the 2020 versus 2023 guidelines. I'm Dr. Suresh Badadmat, Professor of Psychiatry, working at National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. As I mentioned, the second edition of Telemedicine Practice Guideline was notified on 2nd August 2023 under the Professional Conduct of Registered Medical Practitioners regulation. This regulation is under National Medical Commission Act of 2019. Now let's discuss this guidelines. Under this regulation, this guideline is the 11th guideline which has been notified. If you look at the regulation, there are 5 chapters and 11 guidelines. The 11th guideline is Telemedicine Practice Guideline, my dear friends. Now let's discuss what are the differences between 2020 and 2023. In this 2023 guideline, NMC will not be conducting or doing any telemedicine practice training which was mandated under the 2020 guidelines. Here, the Telemedicine Practice Guideline in 2023 clearly says that it has moved this training program under the CPD, that is Continuous Professional Development Program, Category 2. That means whoever is conducting the CPD programs, they need to do Category 2 type of training program. Under that, the Telemedicine Practice Guideline training will be done. That means every RMP who wants to do telemedicine practice, then he need to undergo training under the CPD. Further, under the 2023 guideline, that is 1.5, the RMP should verify and confirm the patient's identity by name, age, gender, address, email ID, phone number, and the photo ID, that is basically Aadhaar, voter ID, or any other identification which can make the RMP to believe that this person is the same. And also, if he knows the person, then is no need of ID. However, the Telemedicine Practice Guideline is very clear, similar to 2020, that there will be no anonymous telemedicine consultation. That means the doctor needs to identify himself and also the patient. That means both the parties should know each other before the telemedicine consultation proceeds. There was a huge difficulties with regard to 2020 guidelines whenever a minor came for telemedicine consultation. In the present 2023 guideline, it is made very clear. The person, if it is a minor means any person less than 18 years. Earlier it was 16 years in the 2020. Now, in this guideline, they try to align with the other legislation such as Juvenile Justice Act or POCSO Act. Here, any child or a minor that is less than 18 years wants to do telemedicine consultation, then the RMP should obtain consent from the parent or an adult or a legal appointed guardian. In case where the patient is a minor, after confirming the patient's age, teleconsultation should proceed only if the minor is accompanied by an adult. Adult means preferably a sibling, parent, or a legal guardian. And this is required as per the Telemedicine Practice Guideline 2023, my dear friends. Earlier, in the previous guideline, you could have done telemedicine guide consultation for age of 16, 17, but here it is very clear, above the age of 18. If you want to do anybody the telemedicine consultation below the age of 18, An adult need to be accompanied by the child. Now, the Telemedicine Practice Guideline 2023 also talks about it does not apply to those RMPs outside the jurisdiction of India. What does it mean? Imagine if a doctor who has got license to practice in India and he has registered here, he wants to provide services from UK. Now he has gone to UK maybe for tourism purpose, or he has shifted there in UK. Now he wants to do consultation from UK to Indian patients. Under this guideline, it is not allowed. That means the RMP should be under the jurisdiction of India. That means he should be physically present in India. If he is in India, that means the National Medical Commission can do any kind of investigation if there is a complaint against him. Hence, my dear friends, although you may have a registration in India, license to practice in India, but you need to be physically present within the jurisdiction of India. This was a big question, and many people from US, UK, Australia wanted to serve their motherland, and during COVID, they wanted to do telemedicine consultation with patients in India. National Medical Commission had a discussion with regard to this, and finally, they have come out up with this guideline telling that RMP should be within India to do telemedicine consultation. Further, it also says that for a recording, either audio or video recording, there should be explicit consent has to be taken. And also, with regard to consent, it has been elaborated here. Further, there are no major changes with regard to first consultation or else follow-up consultation, which is almost similar to 2020 guideline. However, in this present guideline, it says that in follow-up, in certain cases where RMP feels that annual follow-up is required, then the follow-up can be done once in a year. For example, in a person with a breast cancer who is in remission, invariably the oncologist will call them once a year for regular checkup. Here it's same. They say that if you do telemedicine consultation in between and you can call for follow-up after 1 year. But however, the patient has a discretionary power that he can come anytime. So in certain situation, in certain cases, it may be even in thyroid dysfunction, when L-troxin has been already stabilized, the patient can be called once in a year for checkup of thyroid function and also to optimize the medication. With regard to telefollow-up, the 2023 guideline clearly says if a patient is not able to obtain an appointment with the same RMP for a follow-up consultation owing to the operational reasons of digital platform being used, consultation with another RMP will be considered as a follow-up consultation only if the second RMP is comfortable in comprehending the patient's medical condition after having been provided with adequate information by the patient. What does it mean? Earlier, the 2020 guideline was very clear. The first consultation and follow-up consultation is fixed between a doctor and a patient. If the patient goes to a second doctor, invariably on telemedicine it will be considered as first consult. However, there has been a flexible approach in the 2023 guideline. What does it mean? Here, suppose if a patient goes to a medical college, a doctor who is sitting there in a unit 1 sees the patient, and now that is an in-person consultation. Later, if the patient meets another doctor from the same medical college, maybe in the unit 2, in such a scenario, it can be considered as telefollow-up if the second doctor is able to comprehend what the patient is saying and what the doctor who had seen earlier. It is again, professional discretion has been left to the doctor, and in such a scenario, telefollow-up can be considered. And in both 2020 and 2023, it is very clear. RMPs are not permitted to solicit patients for telemedicines through either advertisement or inducement. Invariably, nowadays, many doctors are aggressively marketing themselves in social media. It has been considered as unethical under the Professional Conduct Regulation 2023, my dear friends. Please don't indulge in social media advertisement. Not only that, various platforms are advertising their doctors on telemedicine consultation. This is completely unethical. Many platform also says that we are providing telemedicine consultation for 1 rupee and the doctor's name and photograph has been flashed. In such a scenario, it is an unethical conduct. The doctors whose photograph comes can be penalized here. Not only that, even the telemedicine platform can be blacklisted by the National Medical Commission. With regard to audio video recording, if audio and or video recording of the consultation is required, the RMP must take an explicit consent from the patient and the patient family members. Similarly, if the patient wants to record audio video record of the doctor and the consultation, explicit consent is required to be taken from the RMP also. That means both the parties need to take consent of each other if both the parties are recording. Suppose if they record, those recordings without consent will not be considered as an evidence in NMC, my dear friends. That means right to privacy has been upheld here. This was an important decision which has been taken from the Supreme Court judgment, that is Puttaswamy versus Union of India. In this case, the Supreme Court of India was categorically said that right to privacy is a fundamental right. Hence, if you are recording somebody's audio or video without their permission, without their consent, and in telemedicine it has to be an explicit consent, then that will be in violation of the Constitution under right to privacy, which has been considered as a fundamental right, my dear friend. This is a landmark judgment under Aadhaar card related discussion. Hence, my dear friend, this guideline plays a very important role with regard to recording. Hence, my dear friends, don't do any recording of a patient or maybe their family members without taking explicit consent. With regard to list A, B, C and drug O, the 2020 guideline and 2023 guidelines are similar. Although the guideline 2023 gives some elaboration and clarity on the OTC drug, list A drug, list B drug and prohibited drugs. Further, in this guideline, clarity on e-prescription have been added. For example, earlier in 2020, they mentioned the prescription can be photographed or else e-prescription can be sent. During COVID, it was seen many of our patients who do not have smartphone. In such a scenario, the doctor used to send a message with a link. That message can be used to download the prescription. That has been given permission under the current guideline. RMP should ensure that their medical indemnity insurance covers even telemedicine practice. That means, my dear friends, if you are buying an indemnity insurance, please do check with your insurance company, do they cover telemedicine consultation or not? Further, prescribing medications via telemedicine consultation is solely the professional discretion of the RMP. What does it mean? For example, if I see a patient on telemedicine consultation and if I am not comfortable in making diagnosis, I am not sure about the diagnosis, and I do not know what is the diagnosis. In such a scenario, I can refuse to give prescription. In such a scenario, the patient cannot force me to give a prescription. The patient need to pay for the time which I have spent discussing about his illness on telemedicine consultation, my dear friends. That means before you prescribe a medication to a patient, please be clear what your diagnosis or a provisional diagnosis and what you are treating. With regard to e-prescription, my dear friends, RMP shall provide a clear photograph, scanned document digital copy of a duly signed prescription to the patient via email or over any other messaging platform with their full name, qualification, registration number, and with the state medical council or the Indian medical register number should be there on the prescription, my dear friends. There has been a clear-cut format which is there similar to 2020. The format has been given even in the 2023. This prescription can be conveyed to the patient who do not have a smartphone by using an online web application that can be accessed from a mobile browser. Link for the prescription can be shared via SMS to the recipient or through a social media platform such as WhatsApp, but that should reach only the patient. Similarly, in 2023, there are a list of misconduct have been clearly mentioned. If RMP is insisting only on telemedicine consultation, it will be considered as misconduct. RMP uses patient images, videos, data without the consent of the patient. If he is publicizing, putting in social media, will be considered as a misconduct. RMP who uses telemedicine to prescribe prohibited drugs, then it will be considered as misconduct. RMP prescribes medicine without any diagnosis or a provisional diagnosis. It is also considered as misconduct. Hence, my dear friends, before you prescribe a medication to a patient, please do consider making a diagnosis or a provisional diagnosis. Further, RMP is not permitted to solicit patients through advertisement or inducement or by any means. It is completely prohibited under this guideline. Further, the 2023 guideline also talks about the telemedicine platform responsibility. What are those additional responsibility which has been imposed on these aggregators? This telemedicine technology platform must ensure that is a proper grievance redressal mechanism for the patients, so that the end users, if they have any problem, they can give complaint to this technology platform and they need to resolve the complaint at the earliest. They need to acknowledge within 24 to 48 hours and resolve the complaint within 2 weeks. Further, it also casts obligation on this technology platform to ensure that all the information regarding the RMP and their qualification, which are mentioned in their portal, have been authenticated, and a complete responsibility relies on the owners of the technology platform. What does it mean? Tomorrow, these technologies, platforms which are enrolling doctors should cross-verify with NMC or State Medical Council to know whether this doctor is an allopathic doctor or he is truly passed the MBBS exam. Does he have license to practice? They cannot enroll a quack on this platform, my dear friend. If they do it, they will be responsible for whatever happens. Further, RMP shall not participate in telemedicine platform that provide ratings by the patient or patient's family members. They do not publicize reviews, advertisements, promotion of RMP by any means. Not only that, they have clearly also said that any manipulation of algorithms, search engines will be prohibited. Now, as you know, many of these platforms are advertising their doctors. Not only that, they are asking the patient to give review about the doctors. This is completely prohibited. If you are practicing on any platform and they are asking the patient to write a review, or maybe a ghost writer to write a review on the doctor, that is not allowed. This is a professional misconduct, and please do not practice on those platforms. If those platforms are doing this, please tell them to stop it. If they continue to do it, please do give a complaint to NMC so that they stop this rating business of a professional which is prohibited under this guideline. Further, it also clearly says that the new technologies such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, advanced data science-based decision support system, machine learning, etc., can assist the doctor on patient evaluation and management and diagnosis. The final prescription, counseling, has to be done by the RMP. That means if the telemedicine practice guideline, the portals wants to hire AI, it is allowed, but it cannot work as an independent entity. There should be an RMP who will be decide what is the diagnosis, what will be the management, final prescription, signature on the prescription. Not only that, what management has to be done will be decided by an RMP, not by a machine. Further, the 2023 guideline has 4 annexures. The first annexures are the drug list. Second annexure is a sample prescription format. Third one is patient information sheet. And the final, informed consent format. Let's look into the drug list prescription. That is the what are those medications which have been given. As similar to 2020, the 2023 guideline also talks about list OABC, and they are almost similar in nature. Further, the telemedicine practice guideline amendment which was done on 11/4/2020 has been included under the current guideline also. They have included the prohibited medicines under the list C. That means these medicines such as phenobarbital, clobazam and clonazepam has been added, and they can be prescribed on telemedicine either in the first consult or maybe in the follow-up consult. Now let's look into the prescription format. The prescription format starts with the RMP's name, qualification, registration number, address, contact details, date and time. Patient's name, age, gender, address, height, weight if required. LMP especially in female. Chief complaints, relevant points from the history, examination findings, suggested investigation, provisional diagnosis, name of the medicine in capital letter, generic medicine has to be written, and the instruction how to take the medication, any special instructions, and then finally RMP signature and stamp. And this prescription should also mention it is generated on teleconsultation. The third one is patient information sheet with regard to telemedicine consultation. This is a huge list which has been given in English. If you want to provide in a language which the patient can understand, can be translated, and it can be uploaded in various platforms so that the patient knows what is telemedicine consultation, what to expect, what are the possible benefits, what are the possible risks involved in telemedicine consultation, and he takes an informed decision. Finally, the informed consent forms also have been given under this 2023 guideline. Here, the patient name, gender, location, address, date of signing, all these are mentioned here. Again, this form can be transmitted to the patient either in the English if he knows English, or else in the language what he knows. The patient need not sign. If he wants to sign and send it, it's well and good. Or else even he can communicate to the RMP through video consultation telling that I have gone through the informed consent form and I agree with what the informed consent says, and I would like to undergo televideo consultation, and I know all the risks, benefits involved in telemedicine consultation. Even the audio message, video message, email, and a message from the patient that he has accepted this agreement, that is informed consent, is more than enough to do telemedicine consultation. Now the question is, what are the penalties if there is a violation of these regulations? As for the regulations 2023, Regulation 29 clearly says consultation by telemedicine by a registered medical practitioner shall be permissible following this telemedicine practice guideline, and if there are any violation, either level 1 punishment and L2 or L2 can be given. L1 is reformation, that is warning, asking the doctor to undergo training, maybe CPD, attend CME, or else an advisory can be given. L2 is 1 month suspension from license to practice. So this is the punishment if they violate telemedicine practice guideline. Further, with regard to procedure of a complaint, the aggrieved patient, while filing a complaint to the state medical council, he needs to file a complaint ordinarily within 2 years from the cause of action. If the patient is aggrieved by the telemedicine consultation, then he need to approach the SMC within 2 years of the consultation. Which SMC he should approach? This telemedicine practice guideline has given a clear mandate. It clearly says that the complaint will be lodged in the SMC where the RMP is located at the time of telemedicine consultation. That is where the cause of action has occurred. Both, either it is maybe in telemedicine consultation or in in-person consultation. That means if a doctor is sitting in Karnataka and providing telemedicine consultation for a West Bengal patient, and if something goes wrong, the West Bengal patient can give complaint against the doctor only in the Karnataka State Medical Council because the doctor was providing consultation from Karnataka. Now the question arises, how does the patient comes to know where the doctor is sitting? Here afterwards, the doctor needs to provide the address, and also he has to state which state medical council license number has to be very clearly mentioned. Based upon the registration and state license to practice number which is there, based upon that, the patient has to approach the appropriate respective state medical council. In case of any complaints of misconduct, the complaint will be lodged in the state medical council of the state where the RMP is located at the time of providing telemedicine consultation. Even Telemedicine Practice Guideline 1.3 also says, which is similar to the regulation, my dear friends. To conclude, there is no major deviations from TPG 2023 to TPG 2020. That means there is no major changes which has occurred. However, in 2023, there is a clarity has been given in the present guidelines. This clarification has given an impetus and facilitated more telemedicine consultation, as for my understanding goes, my dear friends. So, there is no major deviation, no need to worry. Please use telemedicine consultation to reach the unreached. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Stay safe.